Truly, the real you loves you. 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 Truly.
All right. Truly, the real you loves you. Truly. That stands for the real you loves you. And there's a reason why the real you loves you. And I'm going to tell you. Because the real you is love. And love has forgotten no one. And love has no opposites. Love merely is. Well, good morning to you, good afternoon, possibly good evening, depending on the time that you are viewing this session of A Course in Miracles, which is the study, guide, the workbook. It is the path that we are embarking on. It is a tool to help us in our transformation, with the focus on the mind that we had discovered was like a runaway child running wild. And so we're using these 365 workbook lessons out of A Course in Miracles to bring that mind that seemingly split off from reality and went off on its own on a prodigal journey. And we're using these lessons to bring that mind back home, back into alignment with its true self, with its rightful inheritance, bringing it back to the peace of God, where it never left. All this happened in what they called in the course a tiny mad idea, where we for some reason had a relapse, not a relapse, but we somehow lapsed into this stage of separation, which now we know after 339 days of being involved with the course that never really happened. It only happened in a nanosecond. But somehow, some way, what flashed across the awareness of what God created, which is perfection, which is what you are, there was an unperfecting thought. That perfection had become unperfection. that which was one had been split into multiplicity. That which was eternal has become what? Temporary. I think in secular terms they call that the Big Bang Theory, where something happened, they just can't explain what happened. They say it was just a big bang. And that's a good way to put it. A big bang. And then when the smoke settled, we discovered nothing happened. Not even the Big Bang. And so today we're going to continue with workbook lesson 139. I will accept the atonement or the at-one-ment for myself. where we started on yesterday, and we made some very noticeable points. First of all, that the word atonement, as the Course uses it to be so consistent with all the other ideas within the Course, it's used in a way that aligns with the fact that what God is the only reality, and that reality is unchangeable, unalterable. It's eternal, no beginning, no ending. It's only love, and it only creates like itself. It only extends like itself. It has no birth, no death. It merely is. And so the term atonement, how it's used here, is to validate that. What it basically says is nothing really happened. That not only God remains intact, but what God created remains intact, which God's only creation is came out of the extension of himself, and he called that the I am, or he called that his creation, or he called that what the Christ, or he called that what you and me, the children of God. The terminology is not as important as the reality, is that we are a shared part of what God is. This is very simple. We are a shared part of what God is. Just like the different parts of your body share in the one body. They share in the one body, all the different parts. Just like the sun and the moon and the sky and the cloud, they all share the one universe. Each one don't have its own separate universe, but they all share. Just like humanity, we all share the same breath that God breathed. I guess, like they said, that we all share the same breath, the same air. That's a natural metaphor. There's not different air, different breath. We all share the same life. We all share the same planet. We're not on multiple planets. We're on this one planet. We share. It's a shared planet. So in the concept or the idea of share, there's equality. There's complete equality. There's complete equanimity. There's no conflict. There's no fussing. There's no fighting. There's no lack. There's no disease or sickness or death. There's no trauma or drama or pain or suffering. When something is completely shared, without any impartiality, without any inequality, the result is peace. In some way, somehow, we have lost our way to the attainment of peace. Collectively, we have. There are individuals that are on the planet right now that are walking in complete peace. Why? Because they have embraced the reality, the truth of who they are. They don't see choices. They don't see multiple choices or a smorgasbord. They don't see heaven and they don't see opposites. They don't see duality. All they see is the oneness and the beauty and the splendor and the consistency and the certainty of a creator and his creation. And they're able to distinguish between that which is real and that which is not. They have embraced the reality that timelessness and formlessness has not gone anywhere, even though there's time and space. But it is timelessness and formlessness that provide the backdrop. No, that provides the feel by which time and form is able to do its little dance. It's temporary dance because it is temporary. And timelessness and formlessness is not threatened. It never sees itself under attack Because, like consciousness or awareness, it merely is. It's always present. It is the one source of all things. It is as sure and as certain about its reality because nothing else from its point of view exists. The only existence outside of itself is the extension of itself, which is what the Course calls creation. that's the that's the that's the creation that we are. And so on yesterday we talked about atonement is merely the idea that everything remained as it always has been. Nothing has changed. It was the response to the tiny mad idea of separation. The response to it was there's no separation. Just that simple. And so out of that, a whole world of perception was created, where we find ourselves participating in right now. A whole world of perception. And you remember it says what it says about the world of perception here in the introduction. And I'll remind you of that. I'll remind me of that. It says, the world of perception, on the other hand, is the world of time or the world of change, of beginnings and endings, which is what we experience through this body communication. It says it is based on interpretation, not on facts. It is the world of birth and death, founded on the belief in scarcity. That's prevalent in this world. Founded on the belief in scarcity, and that still run rapids in this world of perception. Founded on the belief in loss, that someone's got to win and someone's got to lose. So it's founded on that belief that giving and receiving are separate. Everything is separate. So that when one gives and another receives, the one that gives has lost what he's given. Whereas, well, let's stay on this. So it's founded on the belief in scarcity, loss, separation. That's running rapid in today's 2020 edition. And it's founded on the belief in death. The fear of death continues to what? Run rapid into 2020 version. And the concept of death. And then it goes on to say that this world of perception is a learned world. We learn this thought system of separation, this ego thought system is learned. This idea of time and form through interpretation, we learn it. You know, E.F. Hutton used to say, we earn it. But here the Course said, we learn this world of perception. We learn this world that is charged by separation and loss and scarcity and death. It's a learned idea. It says that it is selective in its perceptual emphasis. In other words, there's many choices. And we get to select, from the smorgasbord of choices. Whereas as we get into the atonement here says that here is the end of choice. When we accept the atonement for ourselves, it's the end of choice. Why? Because things will remain as they always were. There's nothing to choose. And then it says It's selective in its perceptual emphasis. It is unstable in its functioning. The world of perception, which we have engaged in, this world of duality, they said it is unstable. Have you experienced any instability, or is there instability here in 2022 where the world is concerned? it's, it's what dominates our news, the instability of this world, the economies, the health community, the instability of peace and war, and instability of what our environment. I mean, everything is what topsy-turvy in a sense. And then finally say it is inaccurate in its interpretation. So even in the world of perception, it's a world of interpretation. But it says here that the interpretations are inaccurate. Why? Because things continue to change all the time. Because it's a world of change. And in a world of change, how can you be accurate? Where you move one thing 1 minute and the next minute it's moved again. It's unstable. That's why it's inaccurate, because it's unstable. This world that we made it to be a what? An attack, as the Course said, an attack. This world of instability is an attack on stability. This world of uncertainty is an attack on certainty. This world of oneness, this world of multiplicity, it says, here it uses the term selected, this world of selectivity. It's an attack on oneness. All to keep us with our heads buried in the sand about the truth of who we are. And so this lesson, as we continue on part 2 of when we accept the atonement, which was the response all the way back when the error was made. We go back to when the error was made, when the tiny man idea entered into the space, into the space of God's creation. And immediately what entered into the space was the reality of atonement. Nothing has happened. All is intact. And just out of that instant tick of time, we have now had thousands and thousands upon thousands and thousands of years of dreaming that Humpty Dumpty fell off the wall and broke into multiple pieces, and we haven't been able to put Humpty back together again. That's a good metaphor for the dream of separation, when in fact nothing really happened. It's a fact. It's a matter of fact. And so we concluded yesterday that uncertainty about what you must be is what the Course calls self-deception. Self-deception. To be uncertain is to be self-deceived. And it says not just to be self-deceived, but it says on a vast scale. It says the magnitude of the deception is hard to conceive. To be alive and not to know yourself to be, it says to be alive and not to know yourself is to believe that you are really dead. For what is life except to be yourself? And what but you can be alive instead? So where is the doubt coming from? Who is the doubter? And whom is the doubter questioning? And who can answer? And the atonement is the answer. It's the question and the answer in reality. It says he merely states that he is not himself. When we say that we're uncertain about who we are, when we refuse to accept ourselves, when we refuse to recognize what we are, because we know what we are, but to not know it is to what? Is to refuse to not to say that we don't know. It's confusion, and confusion comes from what? Come from the refusal of the truth that is true always. Can you imagine a fish saying, "I'm not a fish"? Can you imagine a horse saying, "I'm not a horse"? That's all a horse knows. That's all a fish knows. Can you imagine the sun saying, "I'm not the sun"? That's all the sun knows. Everything that is alive knows itself. But somehow, some way, oh boy, humanity is uncertain about what it is. We're the most challenged species of all God's creations, and we're the only creation that God is. And that challenge is not in our original state. That challenge becomes from a state of belief and separation where we're now what? Have refused or forgotten, however you want to say it, who we are. And so we go out to find out who we are in a what? In a world of duality. Where we just described. A world of perception. Where everything's unstable. Where there's all these erroneous beliefs. And thus we have the history of humanity. And as it is written, the struggle continues. But the light has come. And you and me and all humanity is that light. It's not something separate from us, but it is us. And so, in this questioning, it says he merely states that he is not himself. When we question ourselves, when we're not certain about ourselves, we're saying we're not ourselves. It says, and therefore, being something else, see, we try to make something else, become a questioner of what that something is. So when we reject our true self, what we're saying is what? That we're something else. But we don't even know what that something else is. Yet he could never be alive at all unless he knew the answer. There's no life if there's no awareness, or there's no consciousness of what a thing is. It says, if he acts as if he asks as if he does not know, he merely shows he does not what? He does not want to be the thing that he is. So when we question our reality, when we question or become uncertain about what we are, it says that in that moment, it says we do not want to be the thing that he is of what God created. It says he has accepted it because he lives. Has judged against it and denied its worth, and has decided that he does not know the only certainty by which he lives. The only certainty by which we live is the knowing of ourselves. And like I said on yesterday, there's absolutely one thing that we're all certain of, all humanity, and that is what? We are certain that we are, that we exist, that we are conscious, that we're aware. We're absolutely 100% sure of that. You know that you are. We say it all the time. I am this, I am that, I am this, I am that. That means what? You are aware that you exist. Oh, what we said on yesterday is that what? What we're not aware of is for what do we exist? What are we? Or how we ask the question, what am I? We're okay with I am, but with what I am, we have a lot of uncertainty about. And we're going to straighten that out today. And so, thus, one becomes uncertain of his life, for what it is has been denied by him. Uncertainty comes as a result of denial. We deny what we are. It is for this denial that we need atonement. We need atonement for our own denial. It is for this purpose that we need this God thought of atonement. Not man-made thought of atonement, where that involves what? Sin, guilt, and fear, and sacrifices, and a belief in separation. But in God's world, in love's world, in reality, nothing happened. There's no sin, guilt, or fear to deal with. Truth has swallowed up the tiny mad idea. That's what Paul meant when he said, "What we're more than conquerors." We're more than conquerors. There's nothing to conquer, so we're more than that. There's no threat, so we're more than that. There's no attack. Nothing has changed. Life has not been altered. Who we are has not been altered. Heaven is intact. There's been no fight, no war. So we're more than a conqueror, because there's nothing to conquer. Only conquerors exist in a world of perception, where there's a belief in separation. And so in the belief of separation, there's war and fighting. There's loss. There's all these other man-made ideas that only come up in dreams of separation. But in reality, no such a thing. So the atonement brings us back into the awareness of reality. That all is well. Nothing can separate us, like Paul said in Romans. Nothing can separate us from what? The love of God. Nothing can divide and conquer. Only in dreams. And so, it says, our denial made no change in what we are. But we have split our mind into what knows and does not know the truth. We have done this. we have split the mind by a mere belief and a falsity. But is the mind really split? I think not. It says we are ourself. So if we are ourself, and we know that, then that means we know what we are in reality. We are the consciousness and the awareness that we know. We are the aliveness that only comes through the knowing of the self. That is intrinsic in life, to know thyself, as the ancient poet said. It says, there is no doubt of this, that we are ourselves, that you are what you are. And yet you doubt it. Oh, we doubt it. But we do not ask what part of ourselves that can really doubt ourselves. What part of ourselves can really doubt ourselves? It cannot really be a part of us that asks this question. So it have to be what? Some illusionary, some ego induced self that we made, that we dreamed up, that would ask the question. Your true self would not ask the question. It says, for it acts of one who knows the answer. You know the answer. I know the answer to the question. It says, where were it part of you, the one asking the question, were it part of you, then certainty would be impossible. So that which asks questions based on uncertainty is not a part of that which is certain. The part of you that say it doesn't know itself. The part of me that says that what? It's not what? It's not aware of what it is. It questions, it doubts. It creates conflicts. Can you imagine? The sun says, I don't know what I am. The moon or the stars. I don't know what I am. I don't know what my function is. And what would it do? It would go into what? Reversal. It would go into what? Chaos. Can you imagine the moon and the sun and the stars in the sky going into chaos? Can you imagine the physical hell that would bring about? Well, that's what has happened to humanity, because we say we don't know what we are. It has created over time so much pain and suffering, so much tragic, so many tragedies, so much atrocities, because we say we don't know what we are. We have been thrown into a tailspin, into chaos. And we've created a world of chaos. That's where it comes from, not knowing. And the not knowing comes from what? They say denial. And denial comes from refusing. And refusing comes from what? It comes from uncertainty. And uncertainty creates doubt. And doubt creates conflict. And it's a sure indication that we have relapsed in the recognition of ourselves. We have forgotten who we are. It's not that we don't know, we just forgotten. And we forgot by falling asleep. And trolling the idea of separation. That's simply how it happened. That's one way to explain it. So that's the state. That's the experience of humanity. Now we say that atonement, what we're introducing here in this lesson 139, that if we accept atonement, notice now, who needs to accept the atonement? It says, if I accept the atonement, or I will accept the atonement for myself. This is the way out of the dream of separation. This is the way out of the dream of duality. This is the way out of your pain and suffering, by accepting the atonement for yourself. It says atonement remedies this strange idea that it is possible to doubt yourself and to be unsure or uncertain of what you really are. It says atonement is the only remedy. And it's not talking about the blood of innocent animals, as we saw that played out in biblical history, in certain religions. It wasn't talking about that. We tried that and it didn't work. In Hebrews, it said that the blood of bulls and goats could never what? Atone. That's what Paul's conclusion. But you got a whole Old Testament that was full of, the Leviticus priesthood, and they were, standing in blood, knee deep, chest deep, all their lives, trying to atone for sin, which is not real. They killed everything that crawled, everything that flew, everything that swam, trying to what? Atone for sin, trying to atone for an illusion. It wasn't even real. So they created a system of atonement and called it atonement based on separation. Here, God has taken what we made and have inoculated it. Has given it a booster, has given it real meaning and real purpose. They say now the atonement, what the atonement really represents is that of the unchanging nature of who I am and what my creation is. And so he says atonement remedies. It's the only remedy. It's the only solution. Not the atonement of men, not the atonement of innocent carcasses. It says that it never did anything to the conscious. Men did that for years and years, and they still was in sin consciousness and guilt consciousness. Why? Because sacrifices, which is not a God idea, it's not what's required, and it can never take away what? Guilt, sin, and fear. The only thing that can take away sin, guilt, and fear, or the concept, the idea of sin, guilt, and fear, is the truth. That there is no sin, there is no guilt, and there is no fear. That's the only thing. That's the only remedy. The only remedy to your belief in separation is the truth that you're not separate. You've never been without God. You've never been out of God's presence. You've never, ever, and will never, ever be separated from God's love or from God itself. Why? Because you and God are the same. It's impossible. That's the only remedy. That is what the atonement is. And it's only needful. It's in and of itself. It's an illusion also. But God knows how to take the illusions that we made and turn them right side, wrong side, right side, to turn them inside out and make them useful. God can take a life. God can take anything and marry it up with the truth. And lo and behold, what amazing things he's able to do with it. That's what truth does. When we bring the error to the truth transforms it unto usefulness. It's absurdity. It changes absurdity into reality. Everything that the truth consumes becomes the truth. And the truth has consumed all the error that we have made. Not now, but it did it when the one error was introduced in the mind of humanity before the foundation of the world. That's why again, I use several resources to teach these realities, including the Bible, which is where I got my start. And I love to pull the revelations out of the Bible that aligns with this atonement. Let me share a few with you for you Bible scholars. In Ephesians chapter 1, verse 4, Paul said, before the foundation of the world, before there was even any world, he said, that it was already declared, it was already determined that we should be holy, meaning whole and complete, and without blame before our Creator. That's the atonement. That we remain as God created us. How did God create us? Create us like Himself. Whole and complete. Sharing the same life, the same nature, the same love. Sharing everything. Sharing equality. And Paul picked it up by revelation in Ephesians. He said that we should be what? Holy and without blame. When? Before our Creator. In other words, nothing has changed. That's the atonement. And then Paul picked it up again over in Colossians 1:22 when he said that we are holy, that we are unblameable. We're unblameable. In other words, we're innocent. He said we're holy, we're unblameable, and we're unreprovable in the sight of truth. And then he went on to say in Hebrews chapter 7 verse 26. Paul picked it up again in Hebrews when he says that Jesus' role as a high priest has become our role as a high priest. He says, such a high priest become us, who are birthless and deathless, like Melchizedek. I can go into that teaching. That's just metaphoric for the reality that God is changeless and unalterable and birthless and deathless. And holy and all the other attributes. He says that. So in Hebrews 7:26, it says that we have such a high priest that become us. In other words, this also validates that, that which Jesus is, that is what we are. No different. He says that we become holy. We are holy. We are harmless. Notice now, this is who we really are. This is who you really are. You're holy. Holy means what? Whole and complete, missing nothing. Nothing missing, nothing broken. Nothing. There's nothing wrong with you in your true self, in your timeless, formless self. You remain as God created you. And then he says that we are not only harmless, but we're undefiled. Why do you have to say undefiled? because in the mind of humanity, there's a belief that we have defiled ourselves and what made ourselves unacceptable. But here he makes it clear that what we're undefiled, who we are can't be defiled. Our reality can't be defiled. It can't be harmed. It can't be broken or missing anything. And then he said, we're sinless. I think in there it says separate from sin, but that means the same thing, that we're sinless. You are sinless if you never knew that. Nobody ever told you that. You have never sinned. We've all erred in our ways, but we've never sinned. So sin would be to what? Would be to say that love, would be to say that God, would be to say that the truth is not true. Always. Because we was able to what? Break the law. We was able to break the law. And then it says that we're sinless. It says that we have been created higher than the heavens. Oh my God. We have been created what? High above everything. All things. In fact, we are the co-creator of all things. We are a source. We are a source. We are a cause. We're not an effect. You are not an effect. You are a cause. You are a purpose. You're the reason for everything. You're the reason for everything. Everything exists because of you. You don't exist because of it. That's what the ego would have you think. And that's why with that thought system, we create all kind of idol worships, where we worship, these bodies, and all that these bodies think that they can make. They become idols. Why? Because we see ourselves as identified. As the thing that is temporary. And then Paul said in the entire chapter of Hebrews chapter 4, he talks about there's a rest for the people of God. Who is the people of God? All that God created, all humanity. There is a rest for us. That atonement is the portal to enter into that rest. The atonement, the embracing of the reality that nothing has changed, that we have remained as God created us, that we can't change what God created by making something else. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't have any effect. It just creates experiences, bodily experiences that could be tormenting and what? Nightmarish, with a whole lot of pain and suffering. But that's all self-induced through refusal to embrace the truth, through a denial of who we are and what we are, which creates uncertainty in our thinking. It creates doubt and begin to generate all kind of questions, and ultimately we find ourselves in conflict. And then we say, well, we need conflict resolution. Well, conflict resolution is atonement, for sure. But in the world, they don't teach you that this brand of atonement resolves all conflict. No. We don't use this brand of atonement in our relationship to resolve all conflicts. No, we just try to resolve an illusion with another illusion, and it does not work. And that's where the frustration comes in. But we're here learning something new. We're getting some new skill sets. We're getting a new mindset that now will allow us to what? To see where we're going so we don't fall over in the proverbial ditch of separation. That we don't relapse. Because we don't recognize what we are. So it says atonement remedies the strange idea that it is possible to doubt yourself and be unsure of what you really are. This is the depth of the madness that we have created for ourselves. This is the depth of the madness, the mad world that one sees through the eyes of separation. It says, yet it is the universal question of the world. What's the universal question of the world? What does this mean except the world is mad? And why is the world mad? The world is mad because of uncertainty, doubt, and ultimately conflict. And the conflict that is in our minds, the instability that comes out of not knowing what you are, the absolute uncomfortability of being out of our natural state, our natural inheritance, which is peace, our natural proclivity, which is rest. This rest that we're to labor to enter into. Why? Because what we have entered into is a tidal wave. We need to enter into the rest where God had called the really to rest. As he spoke to those of old, he said, you don't enter in because of your unbelief or because of your what? Refusing the truth. But today is the day of our salvation. Today is the day that we accept the atonement for ourselves, which remedies all things. It says, why shall madness in the sad belief that what is universal here is true? Nothing the world believes is true. It is a place whose purpose is to be a home where those who claim they do not know themselves can come and question what it is they are. So it's like we fall asleep, just like in your natural life. You fall asleep and you dream while you're asleep. And in that dreaming, in that time of dream, we think that that's the reality. That's the truth. And in that dream, we question what we are. And in that dream, we think that's reality. We think that's home. So it says here that we come here in this body with this attachment to this body to discover. It says it here. It says we come here to question what we are. And it said, and they will come again, or we will come again until the time of atonement is accepted. So it appears here that what the Course is saying is that we will keep coming in a body to eventually we accept atonement for ourselves. It's kind of hinting on the fact that we have many lifetimes, and how many of a lifetime it takes for you to finally wake up. That's how many lifetime it will take. That we just keep coming and coming and coming in different forms. And who knows? Because we're so good at forgetting, we could have lived, this could be your 100th lifetime. That means you've been everything. You've been rich and poor. You've been black and white. You've been in and out. You've been what? The king and the paupers. You've been the servant, and you've been the queen. You've been the president. You've been the prime minister. You've been the athlete. You've been the artist. You've been it all. But just in this incarnation, you are what you say you are now. But all of them are designed for you to come here to remember who you are. This is kind of what it's saying here. It says, and they will come again. And again until the time atonement is accepted. And they learn it is impossible to doubt yourself and not to be aware of what you are. So here it is given the idea that we keep returning to this place, just like we return to dreams. And we will keep returning to this place of uncertainty, this place of doubt, and this place of pain and suffering. It said we will continue to return here until we accept the atonement, which is the only remedy, which will wake us up to our true reality, so that we won't ask the question, what am I? But what we will do is declare and decree and express our true self in the world, that we are the light of the world, that we are one with God, that we are eternal divine selves that are that share the life of God. So in this incarnation, in the life that you have now, do you really want to go through that again? Do you really want to go through birth and birth pains? Do you really want to go through an incarnation again? Do you really want to go through being a little bitty baby, then a child, and then a teenager, and a young adult, go through all that again, not knowing who you are? Or do you really desire to wake up to the truth? Do you really desire to accept the atonement for yourself? That's what it's saying here. So that you don't have to keep coming back. But you can move on to the next expression of yourself. Because you're an endless being. And so it says only acceptance can be asked of you. Only. For what you are is certain. What you are is certain. You're not uncertainty. You are certainty. It is set forever. You are set. You are predestined. You are predetermined in your creation. That you're God and nothing else. That you and God are one. That there is God and nothing else. That's been predetermined. There's nothing outside of that reality. Everything else is an illusion. So to make something outside of that is to make ourselves into something that we're not. We make ourselves into pain and suffering. It says only acceptance can be asked of you, for what you are is certain. It is set forever in the holy mind of God. You are set forever in God's mind. You are the thoughts of God. That's why Paul picked it up in Ephesians and Colossians and Hebrews and said that we're holy and without blame. He said that we're holy and unblameable and irreprovable. He said that we are holy and harmless and undefiled and sinless and created higher than the heavens. Why did he catch that revelation? Because it's true. It is true, not for some special group. It's true for all humanity. In fact, it's only one of us. And when one of us, which is you, accept the atonement for yourself, that nothing happens, then you begin to have the direct experience of your holiness, your unblameability, your unreprovability, your harmlessness, your blamelessness, your sinlessness, your guiltlessness. You will have the direct experience in an instant. It cannot fail. It cannot be any different. You would wake up from the dream and start walking in your reality. And there are millions that are walking in their reality right now, still in the bodysuit. And they're there being the light of the world. They're there being the teachers of God. They are the healed healers that see that they don't have a separate interest, but that's only one interest. They have a shared interest. And so they have made an agreement with God to share this central message that the sons and daughters of God is without guilt. And it is in their innocence, which is the atonement, that is their salvation. And that's the message here. That's the message in the course. This is a course in healing. This is a course in atonement. True atonement. Let's embrace it fully today. This is our day of atonement. It says it's forever set in the holy mind of God. And in your mind, in my mind, it's set there. And if we're not aware of it, it's because it's only been what? It's only been obscured, meaning it's only been covered up by falsehood, by falsity, by a world of perception, by a world of illusion, by self-deception. We have deceived ourselves through uncertainty and doubt. But not going forward. All that was what may have been, we could say that was up until now. But now faith is. I am what? I am the evidence of the thing that wasn't seen. I am the substance of the thing that was not seen. I am the evidence of what I had in my heart all the time. I'm the evidence of things hoped for. Now faith is. It is now that I am that. It's not only that now I am that, I'm always that, and I will always be that, because I'm the changeless, unchanging, unalterable creation of my Father. And I'm certain of that. It is a fact. In fact, it is a matter of fact. For you and for me and for everyone. And for everyone that God created. And God has not lost a single soul. Like Jesus said, all that the Father has given unto me, what? I have not lost one. And so you're not lost. Nor is humanity. In reality, but in the dream, they're very lost. So we become what? The symbol of atonement. When you accept the atonement for yourself, you accept it for all humanity. You do. You cannot accept it just for yourself. You can only accept it for the whole. Because there's only the whole. Nothing has been fragmented. It is so far beyond all doubts and question that to ask what it must be is all the proof you need to show that you believe the contradiction, that you know not what you cannot fail to know. Is this a question or a statement which denies itself in statement? Let us not allow our holy minds to occupy themselves with senseless musings such as this. So, no more allowing our minds to be occupied with senseless musings that we don't know what we are. He calls it senseless musing. This is another word we can add to our little repertoire. To illusions and what vain imaginings and what fantasies and hallucinations. And now we got what another one, senseless musings. We have a mission here. Yeah, we do have a mission here to be in here. We did not come to reinforce the madness that we once believed in. That's not our mission. To reinforce our ignorance in not knowing who we are. It says, let us not forget the goal that we accepted. Let us not forget. Remember, it was in forgetfulness that we came here. It says, it is more than just our happiness alone we came to gain. So we did not only come back to regain our happiness, it's more than that. It says, what we accept as what we are proclaims what everyone must be along with us. So it is reclaiming our reality. It is reclaiming. It is recognizing the truth that is true always. It's what we're here for. And you have somehow, some way been drawn to this voice of truly foundation. You have somehow, some way been drawn to this particular moment in time to hear the truth about who you are, so that you can so that you can extricate yourself from uncertainty, sin, guilt, and fear. It says, what we accept as what we are proclaims what everyone must be along with us. Fail not your brothers and sisters. Fail not them. Or you fail yourself. Why? Because you are your brother and your sister, and they are you. So we fail not to proclaim our reality. We fail not to regain our happiness. Why? The world depends on us to do this for them. When you wake up, that's what I meant. When you wake up, all humanity wakes up. Unless you still have a inkling of separation. There is none. Nothing happened. And so see, it only takes one, and you and I are that one. And he says, look lovingly on your neighbor. Look lovingly on humanity, that they may know that they are part of you and you of them. But there's nothing but the one love that we all share. Look lovingly on all humanity. This is what atonement teach. This is what Jesus' brand of atonement teach. This is what God's brand of atonement teaches. And it demonstrates the oneness of God and what God created. And that oneness is unassailed, meaning that it is without doubt. It is without change. It's without threat. It's without attack. The reality of who we are is without attack. There is no threat. There is no war. There is no fighting. There is no claim. We are all in all. There's nothing outside to claim anything. There's no need to be afraid anymore. There's no need to be guilty anymore. There's no need to have sin consciousness anymore. There's no need to believe in a hell that doesn't exist or in a devil that is only symbolic of our own self-deception. There's nothing to fear. You are completely whole. You are completely accepted. Once you accept the atonement, you are completely accepted in the beloved. You are the beloved. And so we do it for ourselves. We do it for all humanity until they're able to stand in the place for themselves. We stand as a high priest for them. Who can have what? Who can have compassion? Why? Because we once were there. We can have compassion on the weak. We can have the passion on those that still are dreaming. So we become what? Faithful priests, like Jesus. We become a faithful high priest. And now we understand that what in this priesthood, right? We forever live it. These priesthood, there's no death. This is what they call after the order of Melchizedek. That's what it means, which is all symbolic. Of reality of what it's saying here is that because in heaven there is no priest. We're all the priests. We're entire priesthood. In other words, we all serve the one. That's what priesthood really means. That we all serve the one. Higher than the heavens, as it says. That's what he means. It says, today, accept atonement. Not to change reality, but merely to accept the truth about yourself and go your way rejoicing in the endless love of God that you are. It is but this that we are asked to do. It is but this that we will do today, right now, in this holy instant. So today, take 5 minutes of your day in the beginning of your day. Take 5 minutes at the end of your day. And we will devote and dedicate our minds now. We're going to devote and dedicate our minds to our assignment for today. And that is, we start with this review of what our mission is. And if you didn't know what your mission was in life, here it is. Here it is. This is your universal mission, where this mission is given to all humanity. Now, you got your unique expression. We're not trying to take that away, but this is your universal mission. And your universal mission, as well as all humanity, is to accept the atonement for yourself. In other words, get yourself back straight. Get your thinking back straight, your perception back straight. Know what you are. Declare that you know what you are and why you are. That's your mission. That's why you came here. Mission possible. Mission complete. You remain. And then it finishes up and says, for I remain as God created me. That is our mission. To accept this reality for ourselves. That's why we came. Doesn't matter how we erred. The only thing that matters is that we embrace this reality of our oneness with the Creator and with all creation. That's the only thing that really matters. That's the only thing that really matters, regardless of what you do, where you are, who you're with, what you have chosen as your own unique expression doesn't matter as much as your mission matters. So if you find yourself in government, in religion, in the arts, in the sciences, in entertainment, in personal development, if you find yourself in whatever industry that you may be in partnership with, wherever you find yourself, your station in life, know that this is your mission, that you fully embrace the one meant for yourself. In other words, you finally, like Jesus did, you once and for all settle your true identity. You are a timeless, you are a formless being that supernaturally appear to be peering in time and form. And you have found your purpose, your mission, your function. And you carry a bright light into the world. You carry a truth that is true always. You carry an anointing and a glow and a flow in your life that is full of healing, that is full of the healing of the nations in your life. That you carry the presence of God with you. That the presence of God is everywhere present. That you have no need of nothing. That God is not only your provider, God is your very life. And you know what you are. Hear me, hear ye. He that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit of truth is saying to all of us. It is time to wake up. It is time to know what you are. It's time to have a direct experience of your divine self. It is time for you to walk in a consciousness that is free of any level of judgment or guilt or condemnation. Every tear, every pain, every discouragement, every betrayal, every misunderstanding, every hurt, every pain, every lack of understanding in this instant of embracing the atonement is being healed and made whole. We have not lost the knowledge that God gave us when He created us like Himself. We can remember it for everyone. For in creation are all minds as one. And in our memory is to recall how dear our brothers are to us. In truth, how much a part of us is every mind. How faithful they have really been to us, and how our Father's love contains them all. Love has forgotten no one. All minds are joined into one mind. Our true mind is not split, but it is a righteous servant. It serves our mission and our purpose. So in thanks for all of creation, in the name of its creator and the creator's oneness with all aspect of creation, we repeat our declaration to our cause today, each hour, as we lay aside all thoughts that would distract us from our holy aim. For several times, let your mind be cleared of all the foolish cobwebs. Foolish cobwebs. It's like residual effects, which the world would weave around your holy self. And learn the fragile nature of the chains that seem to keep the knowledge of yourself apart from your awareness. As you say and declare, I will accept the atonement for myself, for I remain as God created me. So, we're just going to set and rest in that reality the rest of today. This is the Day of Atonement. Every day is the Day of Atonement. Because what? Atonement is truth. And every day, and every moment of the day is the day of truth. And there's no real decision to be made. The decision has already been made. That we are holy and we are without blame before Him in love. That we're unblameable. We are unreprovable. We are holy and undefiled and harmless and sinless. And we've been created higher than the heavens. And we are the express image. We are the express representation. We appear in the person of God. And that's a fact. All right, that's the completion of Workbook Lesson 139. This has been so good. All right, we have one more lesson that we're going to go through. So join us tomorrow before we enter into a 10-day review. Where we review the last 20 lessons. And but there's a full idea that Workbook Lesson 140 that we'll do tomorrow, and then 41 through 49. Or 41 through 50 will be all review. So until then, remember, I want you to remember this. Until then, remember